design we have in the Uvwie here is a mixture of open channel and underground sewers. In some places we have to run it on the road because it's a built-up environment we are working on. And so those are part of the challenges. So when we are working in a built-up environment, sometimes we have to make use of the road, run the sewer under the road, then after that we roll over it, then asphalt it. So when you are walking, you may not know, but you will just see that when the rain falls, there's flood, but within few minutes it's off, because we have side drains that also discharge into those underground sewers. So the main sewers are just the main receivers, that's the collectors into the waterway that flows to the river. So that is what we have in the Uvwie here. This one is actually a natural waterway that people are trying to build up. So what we are not doing now is to secure that natural waterway by introducing these concrete walls. So we are going to build this concrete wall down to the next culvert at Osaigbvo. And after Osaigbvo, you now have the Uvwie River. That's that big river they call Warri River that joins to the Atlantic Ocean. So whatever we are doing, we are trying to flow everything straight to the main river, that is the receiver. So the project itself is prepared in different phases. We have phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 is taking place in Warri area and is handled by Levant construction company. Then while phase 2 is the Chinese CCECC construction. So the CCECC company is the one handling the full axis. So that is how we plan the project. There's another one which will be which starts very soon in the Uvwie area. We are still at the design stage of it. So if we leave here now, we will go down to the other side of the project. I brought you here is for you to actually see how the discharge into the river is. So usually when we start our design, we start from the downstream, which is like the river here, and start building back into the upland. So that the purpose is that as we are walking, even if it's raining, the flood will still be going out without disturbing the people until we get to the end of it. So this one here is connecting the entire marine base area. So all those areas were places where you have the buildings sitting very low. So all the time we have a groundwater problem disturbing them whenever it rains. In fact, you have water as high as 0.6 meters above the ground in the houses. So, but since we finished this work, that thing stopped completely. So as soon as it's raining, the whole discharge is going off, because this ground sewer passed through that road, that first marine base, down to that point. So this is the final point, and you can see how clean the final discharge is. That shows you that it has a safe placing place. Where we are standing now is where they call third marine base. So but the entire place used to be known as marine base. So here the ground elevation is low, so you have a lot of flood water gathering here, because it's like they're sitting in a valley. So whenever it rains, it doesn't flow to the river. On my right here, you have the natural waterway passing there. They cannot flow there, they cannot get to the river. Why they cannot get to the river is because when the major Warri City road was constructed, it was elevated above the natural ground. So it now started impounding this water. So what we have done now by creating this underground sewer that empties into the river is to be able to capture all the water within this area that is impounded. So whenever it rains now, these drains discharge into the underground sewer that pass through the road, then straight to through that school, the government school there, it pass beside the school, then open up into the river. So since that is done now, we stop having this flooding within this area. point is the airport road by Fani Kayode. We are using this Fani Kayode route to capture all the flood water within these areas, because we also used to have a lot of flood in this place, and the only waterway that is available to discharge this water is this waterway here that is by the Shell. So that's why we are traveling this long distance. It's almost about 1.9 kilometer journey to get to this waterway. So we pass through a lot of obstacles. There are a lot of the water pipes that are underground here. So we're battling with them. This is an example of it. So what we are now doing is that we've succeeded in collecting all this flood water, and we are discharging them straight to that waterway that is down there. It's just about 300 meters from this spot where we are to the waterway. If you watch our back, you see that there's no more water in the drains because it's flowing out completely to this place. So with this way, we've been able to manage the flood within this environment. So in fact, this Fani Kayode channel is to collect all the flood within Okumagba Estate, because that place too is also sitting on water. They are actually low-lying lands. In fact, the entire place before was a marshy land that people just filled up and built. But unfortunately, the foundations are not high enough, so you are having a lot of groundwater problem. So when it rains, it worsens it. But since we constructed this thing, it was able to capture the whole of that Okumagba area. The Okumagba area, we are discharging it from two fronts. One is passing through this Fani Kayode, while one is going to down towards the upper Eredioa to pass through Okere Road to the same waterway that we meet in front. So we are discharging them from two sides, depending on the slope direction. So that is what we are seeing here. So this one has been taken care of, because some of the drains on the airport road will be reconstructed to discharge into this place, because some are flowing. In fact, they are flowing in both directions. So some will come here, some will come the other way. So this is what we are trying to do. So when we get to Borikoko, you will now see again how we are linking them back to the same waterway. So the waterway itself is very important, because that is the natural means of taking off flood from this environment. I come to another section of the project. Where we are is under Project A. I spoke about Okumagba layout. So we shared it into two parts. One part, the first part we went to, is draining through Akpala, Fani Kayode, across Airport Road to the Siwa by the Shell. So now we have another one flowing in this direction. They're all coming to the same waterway, the big canal. So this one now is starting from Madugu. That's where the design started from. Across Deko Road, then to this Pangrove swamp. The whole of this area is swamp. Then we are now meeting Eredioa Road. So from here we will now come start in front of the prisons on Okere Road. So you can see what we are building here now, because we do not have enough space. So we are having to now build a kind of sewer that the vehicle will also run on top, on the second lane of the road, then cross over to that lane to discharge at the downstream of the river. So that waterway there flows into that big Warri River. So it's the way we have managed to control this flood here. So where we have a problem now is this connection point between here and the Deko side. We've finished that area. So, but the groundwater table was too high. So we are just waiting for the water to drop down to enable us to complete this channel we are both doing. So before this is done, this area would have been completed. And in fact, you may not know whether there's anything like that. The water is reduced now. If you had come here last month, the flow is so high. You have a very high flood here. So, but because for the past 3 days there's no rain, that's why you now see a little coming down. You can see the size of the distance compared to the size of sections we are constructing.